Hey there folks, so I just did a full video showing how barbs are better than sorceresses at finding high-end items, but now I'm doing a video about a sorceress that tries to find high-end items. Why? Well, let's say, to talk about like what makes the sorceress good, the good aspects, first I want to talk about why she's not the best anymore. The short answer is find item, but in truth, it's the confluence of find item and the Enigma armor that relegate the sorcerers to the sidelines of efficient magic find hunting. Without teleport, a barbarian is way too slow for find item to overtake the speed of a blizzard sorceress. So before 1.13 made high runes like easily attainable for anyone who was willing to put in the effort of farming them, the Blizzard Sorceress reigned supreme, and running the ancient tunnels, which is what I'm doing here, was the truest expression of her power and dominance. And I played a lot back then, and this was, like Blueberry, my jam. Now, more than just my jam, it was an activity that I could approach in many different ways and still enjoy the hell out of it. There's enough depth in gameplay and ways to improve that I could go hard at improving my run times and have a blast because the challenge was there and the improvements noticeable, but I could also, just zone out while doing these runs, barely pay attention while I'm listening to music or, watching something in some cases, and just let the stress of the day roll away. These runs were something I looked forward to and something I did a lot. No, like a lot, like a worrisome amount. To date, I have done more than 33,000, that's a 33 with 3 zeros behind it, Ancient Tunnels runs, and I don't know whether it's thanks to something akin to Stockholm Syndrome, but I still really find them fun and enjoyable. If I were running in a competition, a Magic Find competition, I would go with a Singer Barbarian or a Zerker Barbarian because they are demonstrably, definitively better at the task. But when I do Magic Find runs on my own, this is what I still use. And a quick note that kind of ties into this nostalgia I've been rambling on about, you'll notice I play this character aggressively. You'll notice I almost died right there, right? That was a huge chunk of my life went away. That's because that's how I like to play her. This is what I enjoy doing with this character. Not only is it okay to play this character more passively and more standoffishly than I am, it is highly recommended. Alright? So let's talk about what does make the Ancient Tunnels running Blizzard Sorceress still a good and interesting choice in this world of barbarian dominance. So the first reason is, without a doubt, cost. So 6 years ago, I gave away all of my items. 3 years ago, I came back to the game and did a complete restart and went right to work on day 0, well day 1, running the Ancient Tunnels with an Oculus, a Stealth Armor, a Millibrega's Orb Shield, a Great Helm with 3 Topazes in it, and some blues and rares. Now obviously she was way slower than what I'm doing right here, but she did the job just fine. This build can start with basically nothing, and it scales up in efficiency and ability as you find stuff. The second reason harkens back to what I was talking about earlier. It is not intense to play at all, especially compared to something like a Pit Berserker. And that makes it a good choice for people, who either play hardcore and don't want to run the risk of losing an Enigma and a Grief and some Chams. You don't want to put that kind of wealth at risk. Or for people who just want a relaxing Magic Find experience that is still pretty efficient. Because, remember, before Barbs became top of the heap, this was top of the heap. But speaking of efficiency, I do want to make sure we're all on the same page here in terms of where this build falls. First off, let me point out that the map I'm showing you right now, the map I'm running, is good, but nothing more nor less. So if I compare it against a similar level, meaning a good map for a Pit Berserker or a Singer, I'm coming up with the Pit Berserker being about 25% more efficient and the Singer being about 15% more efficient. Now, of course, over the course of a bunch of runs, over a bunch of time, that adds up massively. So the difference is definitely there, and it highlights that if your whole goal is magic finding these high-end items, you should be using one of the bard builds. But if you're okay with compromising some on that efficiency, either because, you don't like barbs, which is fair and fine, or, you want something more relaxed, or again, you're playing hardcore and you're worrying about throwing, 5 or 6 high runes into the fray and potentially losing them, that also shows that the Sorceress is not an embarrassingly far ways behind, and you can feel okay about that decision. And again, because she's so much cheaper to gear, you can start running with her way earlier than you could with one of the barbarian characters. So with the talk of efficiency out of the way, let's talk about what makes a good map. Now, because the Ancient Tunnels are a single level, right? Like the pits have 2 levels, but AT only has 1. Layout doesn't really matter that much. You can choose your path because there's no set end point. But what does matter, the 2 things that are supremely important, are size and density. Now, when I say size, what I'm really talking about is sort of a virtual size. Because a perfect map would have all of the boss packs, and just so we're clear, when I say boss packs, I'm referring to unique monsters or packs of champion monsters that would all spawn within a couple of screens of the entrance, and how big the map was past that wouldn't matter at all, right? Because, again, we don't have a set destination we have to get to. And, let's see. What I'm really trying to express there is that you want to be able to travel, you want your map to give you the chance to travel as short a distance as possible, to kill as many boss packs as you can. That ties into density, because again, the 2 halves of magic finding efficiency are time and number of boss packs. And again, remember that champion packs count as 1 boss pack for these calculations, so you want the density as high as possible with as low of a run time as possible. A quick note about this map, and why I say it's good, not great. The main reason is, in fact, the size. The average density is okay. It's actually slightly over 6, which is pretty good. It's just, you have to go so far to get that 6, to get that density, that it's not as good as it could be. If the runs were, half as long, then obviously that would increase things dramatically. But moving back on to the subject of efficiency, you can express the efficiency of your runs either as boss packs per minute, for which the best runner I know of for the Ancient Tunnels is just under 12. And a good amount, like what I have here, is about 9. Or you can use the more effective and easier to compare seconds per boss pack, which requires you to do a small amount of math. What you need is, well, the way you get it is you divide the number of seconds you have run by the number of boss packs you have killed. There you go, there's your number. And ideally that number is as low as it can be, but a few benchmarks to keep a lookout for, some milestones. 7 is sort of the highest score you would want to be at for like a well-geared version of this build. If you weren't just starting out. If you're higher than 7, you probably need to re-roll your map. 6 is very good, right? You can be proud of 6. And 5 is about as good as you can be. It may be possible to get below 5, I don't know, but I don't know of anyone who has ever done that. And yeah, I think that about covers that section. I mean, if you want some comparison, again, the best barbarians are down around 4.2 seconds per boss pack, so clearly big difference. But yeah, as far as efficiency and map, I think that about covers it, so let's move on to gear and skills, shall we? Alright, so let's run back to Act 1 real quick. Let's go over the gear. So gear is a little bit difficult of a topic just because, like I said before, the build is so flexible, right? It can work with so many different setups that, like, it's tough to go over all of the different options. What I have listed here to the right is what I think is probably the best for a high-end geared, magic finding setup. But in all frankness, you can run this character with pretty much anything. The only requirement I would really give for the Sorceress is a minimum of 63% faster cast rate. And in fact, I think 63% is the best, because I have tested 63% versus 105%. I know Griffin has tested it. I know Bassano tested it. I think Sir Poops-a-Lot said it. In total, I know of like 7 or 8 people who have tested. None of us have found a difference. So if they're even, then 63% is by definition better, because you can have more magic find with that setup. I would also strongly suggest you put an insight on the Mercenary, if at all possible, and give him some life leech. Other than that, whatever will work. But let's look at what I'm going with here. Harlequin Crest, very straightforward. 3 pieces of tall rushes set, the amulet, the armor with a perfect topaz or an ist, same with this up here, and then the belt. Obviously you want as high of a magic find chance as possible, but it doesn't matter that much, excuse me. Note that you're getting 20% faster cast rate here. You get 20% from your Death's Fathom if you're using it, so factor that in with what you need from your spirit. As I say, Ist would probably be the better choice in your Death's Fathom, but I only have the 1 Fathom, and it's got a facet for running Travancore, so I don't feel the need to change back and forth. Also, Spirit. Now, full disclosure, I am geared for 105% faster cast rate, because again, this build is like comfort food for me, and I just enjoy 105% faster cast rate more. Actually, that's not true. 63% faster cast rate feels slow to me, so it hurts my enjoyment. So I'm giving up some magic find for that. To get there, I've got the 35% spirit, 20% from here, 20% from the Fathom, 20% from Trangle's Claws, which also give me a good chunk of cold resist, which, because I play so aggressively, I need. And then I've got 10% faster cast rate from a ring, which altogether gets me there. Also, this ring has a little bit of faster cast rate, small resistance. Overall, it's quite good, but you could just be using Nagel rings instead. And of course, if you're going with 63%, these would be chance guards. War Travelers are an obvious choice. On Switch, Call to Arms, you don't have to have a beta Call to Arms, but it helps. And Spirit, pay attention to your faster cast rate here. Like, you can lose some frames. It's not a huge deal. But, if you can maintain your faster cast rate on your Switch, that's pretty cool too. For Charms, Aegids, again, I have this faster hit recovery charm on my sorceresses because I'm weird and dumb, and you shouldn't. This should be Magic Find, and yeah, Magic Find charms. Obviously, if they have mana or resistances, that is good, but they don't have to. And also, you could put more Magic Find charms in here. You know, you could fill up your inventory if you wanted to, but I like having room to pick things up. Also, I always carry a Flawless Amethyst so I can hit shrines when they spawn. Most of your AT maps are going to have at least one shrine, up to 2, and, you know, sometimes there'll be gem shrines, and you can get yourself a perfect amethyst, which then you can use for crafting amulets. It's great. Anyway, let's move on to the Mercenary. Again, I've got an Insight, Chains of Honor, which could definitely be Fortitude. It's definitely possible that Fortitude is better here, but, you know, I have a Chains of Honor, so he's got a Chains of Honor. And Andaryl's Visage. Note that the Poison Nova from Andaryl's Visage can make it tough to differentiate boss packs from just random monsters, right? It changes... Boss packs have a specific coloration that is different than random monsters, and this overrides that. They're just green. So you may want to use a different helm on your Mercenary, but, I mean, for me, I'm pretty used to my map and to picking out boss packs, and more importantly, I didn't put a cham in this hat to not use it, so I'm going to use it. In terms of skills, you can have a point in warmth if you want. I've got Insight on the Merc, so I don't really worry about it. The required points here, Teleport and Static Field. For cold spells, you know, you max out Blizzard and its synergies, and I'll tell you, Shiver Armor, when you're starting out and you play recklessly, is awesome. It's really, really helpful when you're starting out with absolute crap tier gear. By the point you're geared like I am, it costs more time than it is worth. Also note, I dumped some points in Frozen Orb to boost the power of Glacial Spike and Ice Blast. I'd rather have those points back and just have more in Cold Mastery. I'm actually losing out a little bit on damage, so you want more points in Cold Mastery is what I'm telling you. Max out Blizzard, Glacial Spike, Ice Blast, Ice Bolt, and dump points in Cold Mastery. You don't have to put anything in Frozen Orb at all, in fact. Alright, so now let's do a run or two. Notice that we used, what's your name? Reeve to come back from Act 2. That is the quickest way to get to... Oh, this is another point. Because we do so much damage already and because the runs are so short, we don't have to use Battle Command at all. So for your switch, you can just leave it on Battle Orders cast, switch back, keep teleporting. It's a little bit less button mashing that way. But because the Ancient Tunnels are in Act 2, we start in Act 2, hit Reeve, go back to Act 1, teleport the waypoint, bam, get back here. Saves you a ton of time. Now we teleport, we look for a boss pack, blow them up, and we keep going. When they have auras like that, obviously that makes them much easier to see, but in general you're looking for discolorations. And I kept missing that guy. I feel bad. There we go. Alright, none of those were actually any good. Right, I could have had that going. Anyway, I'll show you another one. See, to Wareve, go east. There we are, back in town. Tag 2 to the Lost City. And over again. See, you maybe could have seen before I jumped back there the little bit of light that the bosses were giving off. That's the kind of thing you want to be looking out for. Oh, that was a very bad blizzard. I mucked that up royally. Mesh armor, that shaft stop. Yeah, I don't need another one of those. And yeah, generally on my map there is a number of boss packs that spawn in that location. It's part of the reason I like it. And yeah, so I hope that that's been... Hey, you know, we'll pick it up anyway. See if it's Ath. It is! It's ethereal. Hopefully that's been useful to you on some level at least. Also note that there is a shrine here on my map. That's something to keep a look on. But also note, right, I'm going to kind of show you the map here. I come down through here, over through here, and come up this way. I don't touch this area. I don't touch this area over here either. You want to find your boss packs, and you want to run a route that gets you to them as quickly as possible. Again, this map is bigger than I would like it to be, but because of the number of boss packs, it's fine, right? It's not great, but it's fine. So yeah. I'm teaching you now to compromise, and that's not what I want to say. So yeah, I should re-roll this map and be, super, and yeah. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful, and thank you folks for watching. I hope to see you some other time.